Welcome, everyone. I am Susanne Zavel, and this is my friend Shannon. And we want to talk to you tonight or today, whenever you're watching this video, about the average American in our country and the situation that most people are facing with debt. And, we as a country have been kind of brainwashed into thinking that, hey, if I can afford the payment, everything's good, and I'm guilty of that in the past, of really looking at things in the mindset of, well, can I afford the payment? I really haven't ever until more recently looked at things in the mindset of, well, how much is this actually going to cost me in terms of interest and in terms of my long-term wealth building potential? So I got involved with this company back in June of this year, 2020. And I've always had a passion for helping people become financially free. And this is definitely the most amazing vehicle. It's a tool that anyone can use for any kind of debt whatsoever. And I'm going to let Shannon tell her story. And in her family, they do have a mortgage. But just know when you're listening to this, you do not have to have a mortgage. This will work with any and all kinds of debt, from student loans to credit cards to tax debt, literally any kind of debt. Commercial debt, you can use this for a business. You can use this on multiple properties. Real estate developers, we can do up to 99 mortgages. So this is perfect for an individual or for a company. But Shannon, thank you so much for taking your time today.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I've always considered myself extremely financially responsible, thanks Mom and Dad. I bought my first house at 18, and have bought several since then. I did carry credit card debt at one time. I've learned my lesson there. I don't do that anymore. But, we have a lot of loans, my husband and I, that we electively signed up for, and we're perfectly fine with that, because to your point, if I can afford the payment, it's all good. I've never taken really a look at what it's actually costing us. And this has really, opened my eyes to that. As a matter of fact, when I first reached out to you, when I heard you talking about this, it was, I don't really have debt. I don't carry credit card debt. And that's all I considered it. I had my mortgage and elective payments on things that I purposefully signed up for. So to me, in my eyes at that time, that wasn't debt. That was just life. Right. Yeah. So, I work in IT. I've worked for the Venetian for 21 years. My husband's a police officer. Between the two of us, we have, 5 kids, 3 of which are still at home. And we have a lot of stuff, just like normal people. We have just stuff, we have the house, we have 2 car payments, we have a toy hauler, we have a razor, we put solar on the house. All of it, we, again, electively signed up for, and it was fine. We could afford the payments. And it was, the memories made were worth the money and all of those things. And we've just been trucking along. But this has kind of really opened our eyes to what it's actually costing us. And that, when you did the free analysis for me, we had just refinanced our house. My first payment's coming up here September 1st. So once again, we signed up for another 30 years. And it was eye-opening when you told me 6.5. I just really didn't have anything to say. I think if you recall, I was like, I don't even know what to say right now. I just couldn't believe it. And if I hadn't seen it for myself, and if I hadn't taken the risk in my eyes at the time to do it, I would have never believed that it's possible. And I think, okay, my husband's income is this, my income is this, our overall debt is, to be honest, it's about $413,000+, which is a lot. Again, all of it we chose. And if we could be done in 6.5, why on earth would I pay for 30? Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. And I don't understand why, if there's another way, why people would continue with the bank's plan when it's just absolutely not necessary.
So true. And you said, so you guys have started with $413,000 in debt, and this system's going to save you how much money in interest?
Just over $120,000.
That is incredible to think you can put that back in your pocket. And then you were going to be debt free in 30 years, and you said 6.6.
It's June of 2027 is our date. So long as we, keep doing what we're doing and following what it says. And so far, it's really easy. You just do what it says and magic things happen.
That's incredible. So when you first did the analysis, did you feel like I did, where it's kind of like hard to wrap your head around, like, how is this even possible?
Absolutely, I did. And I even ran it past my parents. The reason why I'm so financially responsible today, asking them to look at it through a skeptic's eyes. I needed them to come back and tell me, this is crap. This is a scam. You can do this on your own. You can, you don't need to do that. And they couldn't find those reasons. And so for me, and especially because there is, the guarantee behind it, I had nothing to lose except years and years of unnecessary money out the window. So yeah, we're just about a month in, I think. It's been about a month.
Yeah. That's wonderful. Wow. How exciting. So tell me, how does it feel now that you know that instead of paying for debt for 30 years, you guys are young, so you'll be debt-free in 6.6 years. Then what's your plan after that? How is your life going to look like when you own your house? I think you said you have a camper, right?
Mm-hmm.
The cars, the razor. I mean, you guys are going to have an amazing life. Like, how do you feel about that?
I mean, honestly, it's still a bit numbing to kind of think about what that will be like. I've worked since I was 14 years old. I planned on working until I absolutely couldn't do it anymore, just because that's what you think you have to do. We've always wanted to flip houses. We've always wanted to travel and do things, but with a family of 7, that's not necessarily easy, right? Even going to Disneyland is like, you need to take a mortgage on your house to do that with 7 people. So it's crazy. But, I work hard. My husband works hard, and I would love to get to a point where we don't have to be slaves anymore, and can just kind of do what we want to do and not have to worry about the money aspect of it. So, I mean, that's the biggest thing for us right now, is just what the possibilities are. And what's cool about this is every decision we make financially, the numbers change on that bar across the top of our program. So it's like, ooh, maybe we pause, maybe we rethink that, or ooh, that was a really good decision, or whatever. It's kind of changed our perspective on how every penny is spent and how much every penny makes such difference.
That's a huge thing too. I know you said your husband likes to swipe, and
yes, if the card swipes, there's no problem. But he doesn't do the bills, he doesn't see it, he doesn't see the impact. But he sees it now, and he doesn't like it when I make him watch what happens. So as a matter of fact, today he packed his lunch and packed snacks, and he works 12-hour shifts, and they very rarely get a lunch break. So it's just on the go, and it's, I look at the credit card, and it's drive through 6 times a day, and it's just crazy town.
Yeah.
But today, without me asking, last night, as a matter of fact, he packed all kinds of stuff and brought it with him to, try to curb that behavior a bit. So it's really, that's payback enough. Yeah. It's been huge. Yeah, it's crazy. So
that's huge. I think that's one of the best things about this tool, is that it does show you the impact literally of every single dollar. And I also love how it works with life. So, God forbid something happens and you're out of work, or let's say the opposite, you get a huge bonus, or, maybe you share this with someone and they end up trying this for themselves, and you have a side gig going, you can put that money towards the debt, and you'll see those numbers constantly changing, just like a GPS. So,
oh, absolutely. I mean, just small things, like my son's truck had some issues, and we paid it up front, and he paid us back, and I put that little deposit in there, and boop, boop, it magically changes, the number by a little bit. Or, one of the things I forgot to enter in was the registration for my truck that's coming up. So I went and planned that out.
mm-hmm.
And it'll make sure that amount is in my account when it's time to pay for it. And I don't need to figure out where that's coming from, because it just does it for me and makes sure that it's there. And it's just such a relief. It's just such a relief, because it's a no-brainer. It's like, you don't have to do anything but follow. I don't need to think about anything. Just do what it says, and the rest takes care of itself.
I love it.
So it's been a godsend for sure.
That's so great. And thank you so much. So, last words here. Would you advise people to get that free analysis and just like open their minds to a new idea?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think if you don't, you're doing yourself and your family a disservice by not knowing what that could look like. Um, I don't know how else to put it. And it's just as simple as that. There's no reason not to look at it and see what the possibilities could be. There's really not. And if you don't, to each their own. But I mean, that sucks for you because you could be doing a whole lot more with that money for the next 30 years,
I agree. So many people say no to things they know nothing about. That's kind of been
Right.
my rule in life that I've promised myself. And so when my friend showed me this, I initially said no because I was all caught up in something else. And she said, Sue, what is your rule? And I said, never say no to something you know nothing about. She said, exactly. That's why I'm telling you, you have to look at
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
And
And I look at it as too, is I have nothing to lose, so
right.
was I skeptical? Yeah, I absolutely was. But it's proven me otherwise. And if it was a joke, then I get my money back. And that's
Right.
just really, you know, I'm just open to the possibility of a better way. I get a lot of people that are like, oh, well, I only have a mortgage, so, it's fine. Okay, and, do you want to pay for it for the next 30 years? Well, we're just making extra payments. I'm like, okay, let me know how that works out for you in the next few months as to how far down that number has gone, because it could be very different.
It can be very,
In one transaction, you could knock off 15 payments and $10,000 in interest just by following what it says, not an additional dime out of your pocket, just changing the way you pay your bills.
yep.
Simple as that.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Shannon. Thank you so much for taking the time. Really
Sure.
appreciate it. You've been amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.